volevo inquadrare anche un po' questo momento, che è una delle lezioni del percorso delle Lectio di AICA, come Elena David ci spiegava, dandole anche una prospettiva verticale. Questa è la prospettiva orizzontale, ci saranno diverse Lectio, c'è invece una prospettiva verticale che è l'idea di continuare, che sia il primo di un momento di dialogo su Expo, sulle prospettive e le potenzialità che Expo ha per Milano, per l'Italia, di cui appunto vediamo questo come un primo appuntamento al quale seguiranno altri incontri, proprio con l'obiettivo di avere dei momenti di confronto tra operatori, istituzioni coinvolte e università, quindi mondo della ricerca, che è portatrice di modelli, di analisi, che è portatrice di best practice internazionali e di una visione, diciamo, più teorica ma applicata alla realtà dei fatti.
What about the Yangtze River Delta region and Lombardy if we compare them? Okay. Well, similarities, let's say we're apples here. They're both economic powerhouses of their respective countries. And they've actually got similar contributions to the GDP, the national GDP, very similar in that respect. They're both hugely rich in culture and history. And both regions have now got a significant focus on developing tourism and their cultural heritage resources. That's good. So we're parallel there. We also have major rivers, and then we have large lakes we share, and we have canal systems, which is very interesting. We both have that in both regions. So we've got very big lakes there too. Lombardy has the Navigli, did I say that right? Navigli canal system. And that's a very important tourism resource. In Milan, you have it. Likewise, in the YRDR, we have a very extensive system of canals and very interconnected and great little historic towns along them. So that's very similar. We also have a lot of religious buildings. In Milan, right? We have a lot of churches and cathedrals and things like that, right? And you think China, don't have religion there, right? Wrong. Lots of temples, Buddhist, Taoist, Confucian, and Christian churches, all right? So lots of great religious buildings and sites there. And this is where I think you have a huge advantage here, strong emphasis on food, cuisine, and gastronomy. I hope you really market the heck out of that for 2015. And so too does the YRDR. Well, so is the Yangtze River Delta, the different types of opera. We have World Heritage. Yeah. Another interesting historical link, silk, the silk industry. There's a big silk industry here in Como, and a huge silk industry in Hangzhou and Suzhou in our area. Okay, now the differences. Here's where we're apples and oranges. Well, the YRDR is just much larger than Lombardy, 10 times the size. We have a population there of 100 million. So you just think this expo had a catchment area within about 3 hours of 100 million people. The YRDR is a maritime location, ocean orientation, and it's in the middle in the eastern part of China. Lombardy's in the north, and it's a landlocked situation within Italy. Okay. Different. The political system's a little bit different. Lombardy's recent economic development, I understand, has been more through the service sector, although traditionally a lot of manufacturing, whereas the YRDR, the success has come through manufacturing recently. Okay? So that's different stages of economic development. I think this is very, very important. Different stages of tourism industry development. So we've got different life cycles in terms of tourism development in the market. And also, we must say the Chinese consumers do not have the wealth of travel experiences that people in Italy do in traveling around the world and in their own country and in other parts of Europe. Domestic travel is booming. But it tends to be in a group travel mode, not in an independent FIT mode. So that's an important difference. And it tends to be a lot organized through travel agencies. We expect the proportion, so 70 or 73 compared to 94 in terms of the domestic market. In the international market, this expo coming up in Milan, 27 or 30% compared to 5.8%. Okay? So we expect that difference. I think also, this is a guess, But I haven't seen these numbers quoted. I think the local Milan market for your expo will probably be a smaller share of the total domestic market than it was in Shanghai. Here's the average room rates. They increased significantly. You can see the percentages here, almost up to 30%, over 30%. Very, very major increases in the hotel average room rates. How are the Shanghai hotels and inbound travel doing in 2011 after Expo? Well, so far we only have data available between January and March of this year, and sadly the occupancies have fallen a little bit. They've gone down by 3.1% over 2010, but the capacity is, the supply is greater. Okay? The year-to-date occupancy, January to March 2011, is 50%. 50%. It's not the best time of the year. The average room rates to date, however, this is the good part, the average room rates are up by 11%. So, you know, the demand is a little bit down, but the yield is a little bit up. Now, this is what I came to talk about, right? The best practices. After all that background, the best practices. I think this was a very, very important one. It signaled to the whole country the importance of this expo. On January 1, 2010, the China National Tourism Administration declared 2010 as China World Expo Tourism Year. So the most important thing in the whole country in tourism in 2010 was the expo, the major tourism thing that year. So a designation of China World Expo Tourism Year, I think that was a best practice. Second best practice, what they really did a good job of here was they developed a lot of new tour itineraries. They all sat down together with a number of travel agencies and they developed new tour itineraries. Now, these were tour itineraries that were both for the local domestic market and for the inbound market, so the Chinese market and the foreigner market, if you like. And I think you really, when you're thinking about things to do here in Lombardy and Milan, you really need to look at this, because this is new. So you can see here, and they were very much majorly focused on culture, heritage, history. A little bit here and there on nature, but mostly heritage, culture, history, food. Similar in a way. Okay? So development of new tour itineraries, that was the best practice, in my opinion. One more. Now, displays within the China Provinces Pavilion. 30 of the provinces of China had very good displays, their own pavilions within a pavilion, and it really promoted their tourism and their culture and their heritage to the expo visitors. And that's a major marketing opportunity for Lombardy and Milan at this expo. How do you promote the culture, the tourism, and everything, all the good things you have in Lombardy and Milan within the expo? I think that's a good lesson. Now, again, the culture of China is very rich. It's very visual, and it's very interesting, and it's very entertaining. And so they did a fabulous job of integrating the culture and heritage into Expo. And there was something like 23,000 cultural performances. And so all of the provinces and all of the other countries, but even the districts within Shanghai were able to demonstrate cultural performances. And so it was a great way of showing the culture, of all the parts of China, and particularly of this Yangtze River Delta region. So I think the integration of culture and heritage into the expo through live performances was a best practice. Probably you will do that, I'm sure. Okay. This is an interesting one. And I really hope you think about this one. It wasn't on the block, so to speak, when they started Expo 2010. As far as I know, they didn't have this idea from the beginning. But they started to develop this Expo Passport I think it was because they were a little bit disappointed at the beginning, and they started to introduce this passport. and you could buy it for 30 RMB. So that's what, 4 euros, 3 euros, something like that. Cheap, right? Okay. Can't go on the subway here for that. But anyway, this idea just blew away. It was so caught fire. Thousands of people tried to get the passports, and the idea was to get them filled out at all the pavilions with the stamps on. You have a passport with all these stamps on. So they ended up producing 80,000 passports every day and selling them. Okay, so it kind of became a craze, if you like. It became a craze, and the people from Shanghai, they thought this is going to be a souvenir of this once in a lifetime event. And I'm going to be able to pass this down, or I'm going to be able to sell it to someone, by the way, you know. So I think that was the two motivations. But it's a great idea in terms of encouraging repeat visits from the local market. And I think if Expo 2015 does this, hotels should try and get in on the business somehow. We were asked by the SMTA, the Shanghai Municipal Tourism Administration, to develop a touchscreen website that would be displayed in all of the hotel lobbies and all of the transportation facilities in Shanghai for the people who were coming during Expo. And so we developed this, and it was a big hit. Despite all the good things that I've said, we did not have a tourism marketing and development strategy. We did not. And I want to talk about specific tourism marketing and development initiatives. I want to talk about something I call tourism teamwork. And I also would recommend that you in tourism in Lombardy and all the people, and certainly the Expo Bureau surely is doing this, is don't just look at Shanghai. Don't just look at that one. Look at some other things. Look at Olympics. Look at previous expos, don't just look at Shanghai. Shanghai is a bit of an outlier, in a way. There's before in the preparation stage, there's during in the implementation stage, and then there's the after, the extension stage. So there's three possible areas of the Expo tourism impact. That's one of the threes. The other part of the 3x3 is the market segments. So at least we should look at leisure and pleasure as one segment, business and MICE as a second segment, and what about all those visiting friends and relatives and people who are on personal? That could be 40, 50% of the market. So let me give you some ideas on what I think could be a tourism marketing and development strategy for Expo 2015. Well, number one, have one.
Da un lato creare un Expo è direi un mestiere unico, perché difficilmente si hanno dei punti di riferimento così precisi. I grandi eventi come quelli sportivi, le Olimpiadi, eventi che comunque hanno un format preciso, si ripetono e variano quegli elementi che stanno intorno. Le esposizioni universali si differenziano proprio perché il tema e quindi l'ispirazione, quello che comanda lo svolgimento di questi 6 mesi di manifestazione, determina la progettazione, determina quello che si costruisce negli anni di preparazione, determina l'approccio che il grande pubblico e i visitatori hanno nei confronti dell'esposizione e naturalmente condiziona moltissimo anche quello che accade successivamente. Un grande evento, come ha detto il professor Morrison, non si svolge solo perché si chiude, ma apre delle prospettive che devono essere colte evidentemente al territorio. E in questo noi siamo certi che l'Esposizione Universale abbia una capacità di mobilitazione, di sviluppo economico, di piattaforma difficilmente paragonabile a qualsiasi altro grande evento. Questo perché avrebbero comunque potuto tornare a casa e dire: ho visitato il mondo in un giorno piuttosto che in 2. Ovviamente per noi deve essere diverso. I segnali che vengono lanciati in questi mesi proprio sul fronte del turismo, che è evidentemente la grande leva su cui noi dobbiamo agire e operare affinché gli obiettivi che ci siamo prefissati, i 20 milioni di visitatori, che poi possano essere 18 o 22, 24-25 milioni di visitors, quindi di visitatori che ripeteranno anche la visita ai padiglioni espositivi, devono essere innanzitutto attratti nell'area che sta intorno al sito, perché anche se, come auspichiamo, l'obiettivo del 25-30% di visitatori sul totale dei 20 milioni saranno stranieri, comunque dobbiamo pensare che un evento che vive per più di 180 giorni e che prevede ogni giorno l'afflusso di circa 160-170 mila visitatori deve concentrarsi inevitabilmente su chi ci sta vicino, e quindi per questo abbiamo iniziato anche con anticipo un'attività di sensibilizzazione di tutto il territorio nazionale. Ad oggi abbiamo decine di accordi territoriali con regioni, con province, con comuni, insomma il grande patrimonio peraltro che ha l'Italia deve essere messo a sistema